Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Kids STEAM Crafternoon activity. So my name is Miss Aftan and I am the children's librarian at the Alexander Hamilton Library in Waynesboro. And today we're going to be doing a really cool experiment that uses some common household items and changes them into something else. So our Crafternoon activity today is called Rumpelstiltskin's Jewels. So first, if you are not familiar with the story of Rumpelstiltskin, let's go over it really quickly. So roughly, it is about a girl who is really good at spinning. So spinning is when you take wool or plant fibers and roll them really tightly and use a spinning wheel to prepare them for sewing. So you're basically making thread. And this girl is so good at spinning that her father brags to the whole kingdom how his daughter is so good she could spin straw and make gold. Now, that's not physically possible, but he's really proud of his daughter, so that's what he says. And this brag gets around the kingdom, and finally the king hears it. And when he hears it, he thinks, I think I'd like to have a queen who can make gold out of straw. So he invites the girl to the castle and gives her a storehouse with a spinning wheel and tells her that if she can spin all of the straw in this storehouse into gold, that he will marry her and she'll become the queen. And if she can't, then not good. But of course, like we said, it is physically impossible to change straw into gold with a spinning wheel, so this girl needs a little magical help. Enter Rumpelstiltskin. So Rumpelstiltskin is a mysterious character in the story who ends up magically changing all of the gold in the storeroom, or all of the straw in the storeroom, into gold. And so the girl becomes the queen. And we won't spoil the ending of the story for you, but what we're going to be doing today is what Rumpelstiltskin did, where we're going to take our common household items and change them into something spectacular. Rumpelstiltskin's jewels. So let's get started.
Okay. So what we're actually going to be making are not real jewels. We're going to be making geodes. So if you've ever cracked a rock open and found crystals inside, that's what we're going to be making today. But we're going to be using, like we said, some household materials. So first, you're going to need some cracked, washed, and dried eggshells. All right, you can use just one eggshell for each geode that you're going to make. So along with eggshells, you're going to need some glue. Right, and if you don't have glue for this experiment, that's okay. We'll talk about it. But if you have a STEAM kit from the Waynesboro Library, you'll get a glue bottle like this. You'll also need salt of some sort. You can experiment with what kinds you use. Today we're going to use Epsom salt, but we also put in our STEAM kits pickling salt, which is very similar to table salt, if not the same thing. You can also experiment with things like borax if you have some from a slime kit, or cream of tartar is supposed to make a reaction too. We're also going to use a heat-proof vessel of some sort. So I'm going to use an I Love Fall mug today because we're going to need some hot water. And you'll need a container of some sort. So I'm going to use a clear plastic cup. This is what I'm going to let my egg geode or jewel grow in. All right, so there are our supplies for today. I'm also going to use a plastic spoon or a spoon of some sort to stir your materials. So stir all of your salt and water together. All right, so we'll get started by first preparing our egg. So we'll clear our space, put our geodes away, and we're going to talk about how the science works with making your own egg geode, so making your own jewels, at the end of the video. So make sure you stick around for that. All right, but first, we're going to take one eggshell. Now, this I cracked the yolk out and saved it for a nice treat, and I cleaned it out really well with warm water. And now I'm going to take my glue and I'm actually going to add glue inside. The reason that we do this is because we're going to be adding salt in here, and we want some salt already to be inside the egg so that it has a place to attach and grow. So I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to put some glue around the edges so I didn't fill it in completely. But what I'm going to do next is just use my finger, or you can use a paintbrush if you don't like touching glue. But this is just just Elmer's glue. So school glue, it washes off really easily. And I'm just going to use my finger and I'm going to brush this very gently inside the entire eggshell. All right. Now I'm going to use my finger I'm going to use my paper towel and clean off my finger. All right. Close the glue. That's all you need. And I'm going to now add some of my salt inside. So if you have a STEAM kit, today I'm going to be using Epsom salt. Now this is a kind of salt that is really, really coarse. That means the pieces are really big, which makes some cool crystals. So I'm just going to put a little bit of my Epsom salt inside my egg. To do that, I'm just going to open my bag, get my spoon, and pour a little bit into my egg. Then you can use your spoon and you can fill it up and dump it out, or I'm just going to take my egg and now slowly tip it and turn it and dump the extra out as I go the whole way around my egg. And you can even scoop up a little bit. I needed a little bit on the edge there. So you can see now I have salt filling my entire egg. And that's starting to look pretty cool already, kind of like crystals growing. But it's time now to really get those crystals going. I'm going to close my salt bag so it doesn't spill and set that to the side. And now is the time to get my water. So I'm going to go get about 1/4 cup of hot water. The hotter you can make this water, the better, because we're going to take the rest of our Epsom salt and dissolve it into the water. Now, for safety reasons, if you're not comfortable using really hot water, that's okay. You're going to be able to adapt this so that it'll be a little bit easier and safer. But I'm going to get some pretty hot water, so I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so I am back with my about 1/4 cup. I actually put a little bit extra than 1/4 cup, a little bit more in case it boiled off, but I just put this in the microwave for about a minute, and when I took it out, it was nice and bubbly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully put my egg back here so it's out of the way. I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to add my salt to this cup, a little bit at a time. So what will happen while I'm adding this is the salt will start dissolving, and because I'm going to be adding a lot of salt, right, and I'm going to add it right to my mug, I'm adding about 1/2 cup is what I have in this bag, and I'm doing it a little bit at a time. What's going to happen is the salt is going to dissolve into the water, and because the water is so hot, it's going to dissolve better. So again, the hotter your water is, the better, and the larger your crystals will be, but it's not completely necessary that you have boiling hot water. We did it with just hot tap water the other day and it worked fine. So I'm going to keep adding just a little bit at a time. You can't see what's happening because it's in a ceramic mug, but I'm just checking that when I pull my spoon up, I'm not getting tons of big crystals. So I'll keep mixing that in. And what I'm creating is a solution. So I'm dissolving the salt into the water. A solution is when you dissolve one thing into another and they make a mixture. And so I'm making a super solution by adding tons and tons of salt, more than the normal amount, more than easily mixes in. I'll just get all of that in there. Okay, so more than easily mixes in to my very hot, and we'll turn that around for the handle, very hot water. All right, so now when I pull my spoon out, you can see everything is mixed together. I don't see any big salt crystals. And even if I do, they're very, very few and far between. So now is the time. You can use this as it is and just pour it in with your egg. All right. You can also use this But you can also change this if you want to add a little bit of color. So I'm going to take my green food coloring. Now, if you don't have food coloring at home, no worries. You still get really cool crystals that are just clear by using this solution as it is. But I'm going to add a few drops of green. So I think I'll just add maybe 1-2 drops. You don't need a lot. And I'll mix that together with my solution. And now, with this egg, I really should wait for the glue to dry before pulling it in, or before putting the solution in. So let's say that my glue is dry, my salt is sticking to the egg on here. I'm going to take this dry egg and now put it in my clear container. Now, if you have a glass bowl, that's perfect. All right, but I'm going to very carefully add this to my plastic cup. And I can pour this or I can use my spoon. Because it's so hot, I'm going to use my spoon and just very carefully pour some of that into my egg. Now you can see my egg tipped over and some got in the bottom. That's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to try to stand my egg up a little bit more. Come on, friend. All right, I'll find a good spot. And then I'll just add some more into my egg until it's about full. And if you get some in the bottom, that's totally okay. All right, you'll just start getting some crystals down there. And I didn't use my entire solution, so you can keep adding. If you want to fill up your cup, you can, but I like to stop just when my egg is full. So you can see I've got extra solution down there that maybe I can use for another egg. All right, but I'm going to set this to the side and I'm going to now take a look at my egg. All right, so this is our geode that's starting to form. And what's going to happen over the next few hours and the next couple days is that the salt crystals that went into the hot water dissolved. And because that water was hot, the hotter it is, the more energy it has. And so that energy is dissolving the salt crystals finer and making it so that there's no space in between the salt molecules with the water. Right? And then as the water starts to cool and as the water also starts to evaporate from drying, the salt crystals will actually have space around them again. And what they'll do is, because they were liquidy, now they're going to start forming hard shapes again, but they're going to expand to fill that space that was left behind from all of that energy from the heat. So what we get with our super solution is we get extra large salt crystals because of that extra space that was left from the hot water. So this is going to take a couple hours until you start to see some results. Epsom salt is one of the fastest materials where you can usually start seeing some crystals forming within a couple hours. But the longer you let it go, the more you'll start to see. All right, if you're using stuff like table salt or borax, it will probably take a little bit longer, but you'll still get those crystal results. All right, so I'm going to very carefully set this to the side. And let's come back to our original examples. All right, so this is one of my Epsom salt egg crystals that has actually been sitting for about 3.5 days now. So it's a little hard to see because of the lighting, but I've got some nice big crystals and some small crystals. So I've got a variety of sizes, and this is what your Epsom salt may end up looking like. If you're curious about trying table salt, or if you get a steam kit, this is our pickling salt that we used, which has a lot of really small crystals. Now, why do you think that Epsom salt might have bigger crystals than regular pickling or table salt? We'd love to see your results in our comments with pictures. Either way, we hope that you enjoyed our Rumpelstiltskin jewels, creating our own egg geodes. And if you are in the Waynesboro area, starting on Tuesday, today, you'll be able to pick up this steam kit with glue, 2 different kinds of salt, a cup. You'll need to provide the water and the egg. And if you don't have an egg at home, you can even do this activity just with like the lid of a jar or even in the bottom of the cup. So it's really flexible. And I said at the very beginning that if you don't have glue at home to glue the salt to the top of the egg, or around the entire shell, that's okay. What you'll get is you'll just get a crystal that kind of sinks to the bottom more and stays down there. So for your crystal to spread up more, the glue just helps with that. But no worries. So we hope that you enjoyed our Crafternoon today, and good luck making your own jewels with Rumpelstiltskin. So we'll see you next week, everyone.